Welcome one and all to the Daily Report. I'm John Iadarola, and I don't know if you were able to hear live over our intro as Brett Erlich recounted all of the most disgusting combinations of food I can imagine that he was apparently eating in the middle of the night. But that should be all the proof you need that he's back in the not in the building, but he's here.
I was in Japan. I was in Japan for 2 weeks. I'm jet lagged. I fell asleep during the football game. So like at 8 o'clock last night, woke up at 2. Tried to go to sleep, but instead of taking an allergy pill, ate a weed cookie and thought I was asleep, but I was just like high and thinking. And then realized that and just ate every bit of food we own in this home.
Yeah.
There's salami, there's Oreo cookies, there's tuna fish with goldfish crackers in it, fish two ways as I like to call it.
Yeah.
Without
I was
eating
very
with
confused
a
by like, you were like, I fell asleep during the game as if like that's a standard like unit of time measurement that you fell asleep during the game.
So
you
real
last
men
night,
know
7
about
o'clock.
what time that was. Real men do. Fake men.
A real man wasn't watching sports on TV. A real man was watching them in person. That's what I was doing. Okay.
What did you do last night?
I was at the Angel City game last night.
Oh,
I did
fun.
leave. I left at halftime because I'm old and it was getting late. But I did, and it was Hello Kitty night, so that was cool. But anyway, no, I was there. It was a lot of fun, and
That's great.
But the Bills won. Good news for producer Mike and my mom, who share a love for the Bills. And I know that that's a football team. But anyway, did your team? I don't know what your team is in the NFL.
My team's the Dodgers, and they won. My football team's going to be the Rams. I went to a Rams. I like the Raiders. I like the Rams. So sue me.
Yeah, I like the Rams and the Chargers. They play at the same place, or at least they did, and they seem very similar to me. I can't tell them apart.
I like Harbaugh.
I'm a little bit disappointed that the
all
fever
Harbaughs
somehow
Ashley
beat the dream.
I like all Harbaughs. Ashley's a Ravens fan.
Yeah.
And
I think that we've burned people out on Jock Talk to start this thing up. I will say,
this
everybody,
is a damage report. I thought this was Jock Talk.
This was Jock Talk with me and you and occasionally Jordan. We don't just watch sports, okay? We're true alpha males. We play sports. And this weekend, Brett, we're going to play a sport.
All this is just putting together a reel so I can get on a show with Katie Nolan. My cousin pitched for the Red Sox.
Good luck,
man. Billy.
Yeah.
Katie.
I think there's no drama in you going on Katie Nolan. I'm newly a jock. That's a transformation. That's an interview that I think could go somewhere. And so I think Katie Nolan should bring me on.
And I love molding you with my hands. Jordan and I are having the best time turning John into a golfman. I am a golfsman. About it to each other, be like, what is he ready for next?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be playing this weekend. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Brett's gonna be there. I don't know if your wife is gonna come along. She might still be jet lagged, but it'll be fun. We'll have drinks or whatever. Anyway, okay, well, with that said, let's set aside the Jock Talk to get into the further degradation and annihilation of our way of life, our society, our government. We have a lot on that, particularly in the area of free speech, which is in the rearview mirror. We've got some developments in the Congress. Government apparently will be funded, but now the drama is going to turn to the Senate, so we're going to have all of that. And in the aftermath, garbage people. Brett's going to be back with his garbage person and a whole lot more. Bernie Sanders heading to West Virginia to win over Trump voters. It's a lot of exciting stuff going on. And for the members, every Friday we put out members content on YouTube. We will be talking about these new reports from inside of the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez camp of her next steps and what she might be running for, which maybe one or both of me and Brett will be interested in. We'll see. But anyway, definitely hit the like button, share the stream, send us your comments, your tweets, and your super chats. And with all that said, Brett, are you ready to do this thing?
Whether I am or not, you've been more than fair.
He still knows how to do it. You can't get one past this guy. Okay, let's jump into this.
Jimmy Kimmel was because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not.
Thing that we have anymore. To be very clear, Jimmy Kimmel was not fired because of his ratings or anything like that. And he also did not say a single negative thing towards Charlie Kirk, towards Charlie Kirk's family, towards anyone who loves Charlie Kirk. He didn't say anything like that. He was sacrificed on the altar of the tiny hurt little fifis of Donald Trump because they say a comment that he made where he was saying that the right was trying to imply that the killer was whoever you want. It doesn't matter. Just don't speculate that it could be a groyper or something. He said that, and he also mocked Donald Trump, callously moving on from a question about Charlie Kirk to talk about his fancy ballroom or whatever. Those are the two things that they would have you believe were so utterly unacceptable that he needs to immediately be fired. Going on the air and calling for the forcible euthanizing of millions of the unhoused apparently that does not cross the line. Brian Kilmeade is still very much employed at Fox News. But again, all of that's just cover story. Donald Trump has been pushing for Kimmel to be fired for literally years, and they did that. Brendan Carr, the head of the FCC, put pressure on the broadcast companies, implying that their licenses could be pulled unless they got rid of Jimmy Kimmel, and that's what they did. And that, there's a very good case to be made, is actually against the law. There are multiple Supreme Court decisions, unanimous Supreme Court decisions, that make clear that the federal government cannot use the pressure of its power to force broadcasters to do these sorts of things. So it's entirely possible in the future Brendan Carr will face the legal ramifications of that. We'll see. But I make all of this clear just because I recently started tweeting again a little bit. I don't know why. It was a bad idea. But all of the either MAGA people that all pay $8 a month to Elon Musk to be on Twitter, or the bots, all of them are chanting, it wasn't Trump that fired him. It was ABC that fired him. I mean, that is the most baby brain, smooth brain stuff. I mean, they were cheering Brendan Carr for putting pressure from the federal government on them. They know exactly what happened. And let's be very clear that it is not enough to get rid of Colbert. It is not enough to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel. They are gonna go for way more than that, which is gonna be very clear in this clip.
I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I got 97% negative, and yet I won it easily. I won all 7 swing states, popular, won everything. And then 97% against, they give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr. All they do is they Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party.
So that is the dear leader saying they're not allowed to criticize me if they want to keep their licenses. Again, every right wing of the country is like, I didn't see that, I didn't hear that. No, it was Kimmel's ratings, or it was really offensive. That's why he was fired. Donald Trump is being made very clear that no, this is just about criticism. This is about converting our media into like the media under Orban or North Korea or any other dictatorial regime. That's all this is. 97%, I won everything. You didn't even get the majority of the vote, you jackass. But anyway, let's now pull in to the conversation Brett Erlich, who has not had a chance to comment on any of this as he's been in Japan for the past couple of weeks. Brett, as a comedian yourself, what do you think about the new flavor of free speech we have here in America?
Like, I am looking and waiting for the comedians who were against left-wing cancel culture to be against this. Some of them are. I checked in on Flagrant, and though Schultz wasn't there, Akash was there, and what the thing to me is everyone's mischaracterizing what Kimmel said. You pointed out that he didn't say anything bad about Charlie Kirk, which is true. But he also didn't say that the guy who shot him was MAGA.
100%, you are totally right.
Everybody. I listen to podcasts from people on the left. As also a Shakespeare guy where you have to obsess over what is in the text and not in the text.
Yeah.
Him calling the dude MAGA is not in the text. As a writer and a comedian who has written for shows where you need to set up clips and you need to write scripts like this, he is covering the coverage. That's what we call it. In this, it is literally, we call it covering the coverage. It's very awesome from everything down to fair use perspective. It's what The Daily Show does, where you are covering the reactions to stuff and you are calling out the ridiculous reaction. That was a setup line for exactly what he did next, which is like, here is, everybody on the right is saying this is not one of us, it's one of you, and people on the left are saying it's one of you. It's the kind of joke that there's a version of it like it's bad for the Jews. Like you're like, I hope it's not one of us who did this thing. That's what it is. That's the trope he's he's kind of playing into.
100%.
But everybody is pretending he said this guy was MAGA. The only clips I can find about Charlie Kirk are from Jimmy Kimmel, or him saying like, it is tragic that the guy was killed. And we all believe that. And for me, like I'm also an ABC News employee, and I have been for over a decade, right? And I've also not only worked for ABC News, I've worked for Disney shows. Like there's a lot of stuff you can't say on Disney because it's Disney. There's stuff that won't, after some of the takes, we say like, that's not gonna get on because it's Disney. And that's usually just for like appropriateness for an audience. That kind of dies out after 10 p.m. And like, you can't show a monkey on ABC, like a live monkey, unless it's in very specific situations. And this is what I want to get into is the shift in the reason why a network fires someone or takes them off the air. It used to be that you get taken off the air or suspended if you jeopardize a sponsorship. And that's if the consequence looming was we lost $1 million on this one show from Unilever, right? I call this commercial ballast. It keeps your content from veering one way or another because we've got to sell soap, right? And that's it. But this has changed completely now. Yeah. Things people are leaving out is that most of the companies that buy up local affiliates and sign contracts with ABC, those companies are wildly conservative. And John Oliver's done a great job of outlining the must-run content that they give to their local affiliates, which is itself so much more polarizing and so much more political than what Jimmy Kimmel is saying on his show. But rather than jeopardizing $1 million on your show, those affiliates are like, because of this one show, we won't do any ABC content at all. And they're all owned by like 3 companies. That is, if people like Theo Vaughn are looking for a cabal of people who run everything, that's it. It's a bunch of them saying, we want a more conservative America, and our ideas suck. Our ideas are horrible. If we were in charge of entertainment, Lex Luthor would be the hero and not Superman. So we need to use some other thing. And the president colluding with them through the FCC, this is what fascism is. It is the alignment of the state with private corporations in ways that are distinctly, to shift it a little bit, anti-American as we understand American. But now ABC, NBC, CBS, they're like, I can't get any shows out. My entire already dying business model is now in danger of suffering more. And so Jimmy Kimmel, on whose back a metaphorical target was painted by Trump months ago, suddenly he falls after Colbert. This has nothing to do with anything other than the president, who they say is such an alpha male, cool guy, is a puss.
100%. He can't take Colbert and Kimmel's jokes. Edgy, really edgy comedians. You know what else he can't take apparently? Whoopi Goldberg, because Brennan Carr is now suggesting the FCC should look into The View for ABC because those women are so mean to Trump. He really does have a very soft spot for women. And by that, I don't mean that he likes them. I mean that he's pudding soft when it comes to their criticism. He wants Whoopi Goldberg, I guess, taken off the air. And he wants the Code Pink women who screamed at him while he was eating dinner. He wants them in jail.
That's insanity.
Is a tiny little baby boy. Brett, I don't know if you would approve the imagery, but yesterday on the show, I said that we got to stop calling these people snowflakes because that doesn't properly get across exactly how sensitive they are. They're actually tiny little pre-bruised scrotums. You can't even tap them. They're so sensitive to even the slightest pressure.
John, that's disgusting,
and that's who he is.
And I think you should
is. I did
it off the air
in your honor. But anyway, I think that we need to catch up a little bit on time. So we're gonna move ahead to graphic 4, so we get a little bit more on the behind the scenes here. Sorry, I know I'm throwing things at a chaos with TD. That's jumping up. The future for Jimmy Kimmel's show, and I guess any show that dares to be critical of the administration, critical of those with power and money and influence, is totally up in the air right now. His show is currently in indefinite suspension, but apparently Walt Disney executives are going to meet with Jimmy Kimmel to assess the future of his show. Disney apparently has told him that it wants to de-escalate the situation, which has resulted in attacks from the White House and death threats to employees. Weird, it must be those damn libs doing the death threats to Disney employees, because we know they're the violent ones after all. The company hasn't asked Kimmel to apologize, nor does Kimmel have any plans to do so. What's interesting is that he was apparently put on suspension right before he could go live with his show, in which he was going to do a second monologue about the situation of the politicization of the death of Charlie Kirk. And in it, he was gonna clarify what he meant in the first one, which I don't think needs to be clarified. Again, he did not say that the killer of Charlie Kirk was MAGA. He did not mock Charlie Kirk or his family or his kids or anything like. He didn't do any of the things that the right is saying. But anyway, he was going to go above and beyond to clarify it, but was going to be critical of MAGA and Trump. And then they axed it. You don't get to do that, I guess. You don't get to criticize the president in this incredibly unfree society that we live in right now. And they say that the soonest the show could return is September 22nd, which I guess would be Monday. But honestly, Brett, why would he come back? Like, what would he be coming back to at this point? They already have shown. Let me give you make a face. If you want. We still have free speech here.
You
okay,
baited the hook. What's the rest?
We're on the hook now. Okay, so he has already been shown that not even if he says something unacceptable, because we already know from the initial reporting, the Disney execs did not consider anything he said to have gone too far. It's just that the right pretended to think that it was, and so they suspended him. They've already shown that they're willing to suspend him if the right freaks out. And so whether explicitly or implicitly, what would the environment be for his show to exist in? What would he be allowed to say? What would he feel free? What jokes would he feel free to tell? Would he feel willing to criticize Donald Trump, knowing that it's entirely possible he could be axed once again if he were to do that? Like, I feel like this is as chilled an environment as it could possibly be for a host like him. Do you disagree?
You go back and you do the same stuff you were doing before.
And
they kick you off again.
No, I don't disagree that he should do that. But what's the point of that, I guess? Do you think
I don't know. If he didn't go, if he was offered the opportunity to return and he didn't, I guess he'd have to justify that. And I'm sure there's a justification that makes sense. But like, I'd go back. I go back the next day and not change who I am, period. Yeah. I mean, I was kicking around that I saw Jon Stewart did it, but like doing a segment that is being cowed into compliance and satirically embrace the concept of being cowed into compliance.
Yeah,
like Jon Stewart did a whole monologue.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that in a couple minutes. But
so
like,
you think he should go back? That's what a comedian does. Is they look for the best way to do it next.
Yeah,
like you look for the bit. You look for the joke in this moment that you all laughed at in the pitch room, and you do it on television. That's just what late night shows, what any show is.
Yeah. Do you think, before we move on to Jon Stewart, I know that after Colbert, Trump said Jimmy Kimmel's next, and then he was suspended and might never come back. And then as soon as he was suspended, he said that Jimmy and Seth are next. Do you think is that just inevitable at this point? What do you think?
I've just always seen NBC as the most in line with my sense of humor, just all throughout, from 30 Rock, Conan.
Yeah,
all that stuff. I mean, Leno versus Letterman's the only exception, right? But I still respect in all comedians. I think NBC would be more likely to protect it, especially because everybody would probably not coalesce around Fallon. He's already the thing everybody wants him to be. That Trump would want him to be. And that's just who he is. He shouldn't change who he is. He's a comedian. He should do his comedian ideas that he thinks are good. I think everyone would coalesce around Seth Meyers. And to say that they have bad ratings is absolute horse crap, because they have solid ratings for what television is now on late night TV, but we watch the hell, and there's value to the content that makes it to our phones at some point.
Yeah.
Not on the streaming, even on the streaming platforms and suingly. And then after that, just like little bits making it into our feeds. Like that is valuable.
I saw a thing, so I posted on Twitter or whatever a little bit about this stuff, and so they're trying to pretend that this is because of his ratings or whatever. Again, it's not because Brendan Carr, hours before he was fired, said that they have to fire him. Basically, it's his ratings. So they show like a chart going back to like 2011, and like the ratings trended down, and I'm like, I'm not like an expert on TV, but I feel like several things have changed in the past 14 years in the media environment. Like, I think a lot of shows get less views than they did back then.
But here, this is the point I want to make. It is ratings. He would not be cancelable if he had high enough ratings. I'll give you a very specific late night television story. At the height of 2.5 Men, I knew one of the head writer on the Late Late Show, or the one with Ferguson, right? And the standards and practices were up Ferguson's ass on what he could and couldn't say that wasn't in compliance. And so they just started turning on 2.5 Men and writing down the jokes that were able to be on TV during prime time and compared them to how much more graphic and disgusting they were than the ones they got axed on the less watched, because it's at 11:30 p.m. or 12:30 a.m. Late Show, the Ferguson Show. Yeah. So that's the commercial ballast I'm talking about. But the reason that Trump will always win these is now you have to have way higher ratings in order to justify the network keeping you, unless they have morals, which it's just like they have so many other responsibilities. The bottom line, you have to rely on you have to have much higher ratings and much because the other side of the coin is the network disappearing versus losing a couple $1 million in ads. That's the thing that everyone needs to understand about the difference between the FCC saying I'm pulling ABC's license versus Unilever saying like, all right, for an hour I'm not going to advertise Lever 2000 soap.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what ends up happening with them. I'm very curious to see when SNL comes back in 2 Saturdays from now, I think it is, maybe 3. What they're going to do. I mean, again, that's NBC. And certainly they've been critical of him in the past, but there've been periods where they've tried to back off that a little bit. They obviously brought him on, they brought Elon Musk on and everything. And we know that Donald Trump loves tweeting about SNL. So we'll see. I guess they're probably lucky that they did not come back 3 weeks ago, I would guess, because that would put them in a very difficult position. But that said, let's move to something I know that you're already interested in. So let's jump into this. Jon Stewart torched Donald Trump's turn against free speech in his own particular satirical way last night on The Daily Show. He came back, he's normally on Mondays, he came for Thursday, and he sort of remade the show in a state media sort of flavor to comply with the apparent, very explicit demands of the dear leader. You can see him right there. He's got gold everywhere, which, as we all know, is classy and not gaudy at all. And here's a few of the things that he said. He introduced the show as the new government-approved Daily Show. We have another fun, hilarious, administration-compliant show. And throughout, whenever people would like laugh at a joke that would be critical of Donald Trump, that sort of thing, he would play with like, "You're gonna blow this for us." He was very in character throughout. He at one point had to cover. He said that Trump's skin was perfectly tinted, and he also had to update his own pronunciation of Azerbaijan to match Donald Trump, who called it, I think, Azerbaijan. Trump also claimed to have found peace between them and the Albanians instead of the Armenians. So he updated his understanding of world geography to comply with the dictates of the dear leader. And then he said this: "Now, some naysayers may argue that this administration's speech concerns are merely a cynical ploy, a thin gruel of a ruse, a smokescreen to obscure an unprecedented consolidation of power and unitary intimidation, principleless and coldly antithetical to any experiment in a constitutional Republican governance. Some people would say that. Not me, though. I think it's great." And I really like Jon Stewart. I'm really worried about him losing his job. I did think this was a clever way to pursue it. And I think when I throw to Brett, he's gonna love it. I liked it, but I kind of would have liked him to just burn the house down. I know that that's not necessarily his approach recently, but I like the righteous indignation Jon Stewart. The funny satirical Jon Stewart's good too, but considering that now 2 comedians have been fired for this administration. I would have liked to have seen more bite. I don't know, Brett, what do you think?
So here's a compromise offer. Is Colbert Report comes back.
But I think he did do a little bit of that yesterday, Colbert.
I don't know, I didn't see it, but like bring the show back.
I
Just
do
go
think
back to back again. Like the reason that Colbert got the job.
Wait, don't jump past. That's a great idea, actually. I don't know that he would want to do that, but they should do that.
They should do it because this is exactly the time for it. This is exactly what to do. So just remember, my mom always asks, how do they come up with that stuff? And the answer is they think of it and then they talk about it and then they develop a script. And so what they probably did is they had the idea and they're seasoned, like the creator of The Daily Show has in the past told me personally, like, if you have a concept, make sure that it has legs, that it can get it through. If not, kick out. You start with the concept, so they probably went about writing it and were like, how long does this make sense for? If I do need to make a turn, how do I do that? I do need to get in the conclusion. You already read the very wordy Jon Stewart-y, like they also have this in South Park where they just tell you what the lesson is at the end.
Yeah.
He did that, right? The way that he interpolated that into the script is to do the very wordy thing and say, but not us. The alternative, if they felt like they couldn't make it through the script the whole time, is they'd be like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And then they change what's on the monitor and bring it back to normal. And there's, signs or something like that. That would have been the option, but it did make its way through. Remember, it's gonna be back to normal probably next week, or it won't. If they feel the people that you already trust with writing and performing these monologues, if they think it'll last and they find a good way to do it, they'll do it. If not, they're very good at this and they'll kick out.
Do you, so let's say we have the option. You can bring back Colbert Report. I assume you'd prefer that to them like spinning off a new show for his Tuck Buckford character.
I don't even know who that is, so.
Oh, it's Tuck Buckford is Stephen Colbert's character who hosts a show called Brain Fight. And it's his Alex Jones character rather than like O'Reilly character.
They tried this. Klepper had a show that was kind of like that. So I don't know. And they'll see what they can do. So the fact is that the reason that Colbert got Letterman, in my opinion, is because they were looking at what late night types of voices are successful here in the Viacom family. And we had just gotten out of 20 years of people saying this line at every goddamn meeting I took in Hollywood, which was, more people get their news from The Daily Show than from the news.
Yeah.
And so they just put that in late night and it's there. And Kimmel who did the Man Show. So his pedigree of being like, I'm just gonna be who I want on TV. Like, I don't know, they ended up doing late night. They all ended up doing Jon Stewart, but their voice of it, I never really laughed hard at Colbert. I like the Colbert Report thing more. I think it underscores his strengths more, but again, and those aren't like the edgy comedies either.
Yeah.
Like this isn't, that wasn't dangerous. That's what's so crazy is what they're offended by is on network. And it's not like network got crazy. It's still network. Trump is just such a wuss bag.
Yeah, and I'll end on this. A lot of the responses to my recent tweets are like we or Trump would care about some old late night. I was like, the dude never stops talking about them. Like, that he was talking about them today. As you're saying that, Trump was talking about Kimmel. Stop pretending you don't care. You're responding to a tweet about Kimmel. You clearly care too.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to take our first break. We'll be back with more after this.
Rawr.
I'm just gonna once again take the opportunity because I've done this so few times. I got to go. I saw the Colbert Report taping, and it was awesome. It was just a great show. It had a lot of great segments. I think they totally should bring that back.
I never saw any of the New York ones. I've only done Conan.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I went to that and I went to Bill Maher, which feels so weird now to say, but I did go to one Bill Maher episode. But anyway, let's jump into some comments and see what's going on. Thank you to everybody, by the way, who hung out in the members hangout yesterday. Over 9,000 says, if they let Kimmel back on for 5 minutes, it'll absolutely be the V for Vendetta scene. Which with the thrown knives, or which one? He's just gonna show up with the mask. Ramoth Dragon says, the calls for boycotting Disney are very loud, but they stepped in it and are trying to save face.
But the calls to boycott, I get it. It sucks. It just like that. How much it sucks to be a consumer of media these days.
Yeah.
It just sucks.
You can't trust them. Yeah. And as you pointed out,
I love Disney, man. I love Disney so much.
I love the MCU. I mean, I want that. I want to show my daughter Aladdin and stuff, but we'll see. Embedded Dude says, I have no confidence that TYT will exist next week or that Colbert will last through next May. I don't know what power they would have to take out TYT. I don't know what that would be. I mean, I guess Musk could buy it and shut it down or something. But other than that, no, I don't.
Do I own a piece? Do I own a piece at TYT? If so, I don't care. Just buy me out, dude.
Yeah. I'd like to just take
vacation was so nice. I'm not serious about that, but I mean, I am serious about anybody giving me a lot of money so I can do nothing. But just being on vacation for 2 weeks, you're just like, oh my God, this is glorious.
I don't know that. Have I ever taken a 2 week? I don't think I have.
Ashley, has he been away for months at a time? Yep.
And let me tell you, that was a vacation. No, I mean, did I take 2 weeks when I got engaged, or was that 1 week?
I don't care, John.
I don't remember.
I'm not really.
But anyway, I don't think I've had it. I do need to take it. By the way, Dusty Jones brings up, yes, Kat Abu Ghazaleh was assaulted by ICE.
That video was nuts.
Thrown bodily, which is insane. I would love to say who it is that did that, but they're allowed to be masked and they can hide their identity. They're just the masked secret police of Donald Trump. They're literally secret police. They're those two things. You don't get to know who they are. But and she was assaulted. She should sue. I don't know what's going to happen. I would love to have her on to talk. We'll see. We've invited her on the show before.
Even my most conservative friends are just like freaked out by that.
Yeah, they should be. They should be. Okay, Don Quixote gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. CDN North Dog Dad, as always, gifted a membership. Thank you. Cosmic Dragon gifted 1 too. Thank you so much. Igor says, I too just recently got into golf. If you have not bought you a set, I bought a set of Callaway Maverick. They're ultra forgiving. I carry my drive 270.
Holy crap, get out of here.
I don't have a driver actually, so I don't.
John does. John hits it 3 bills. Say I'd carry it 3 bills.
Yeah, the length of 3 bills, actually, 3 literal bills. But that is cool. I have most of my clubs are the ones that Jordan got for me. I got a putter, and they are Callaways. Yeah, they actually are. And I got a putter and a hybrid 4. I guess I don't know a ton about golf, but I'm trying to learn. Anyway, there's so many other comments. We're gonna try to catch up when we can, but first, more news coming up after this.
I got a tea on my desk. That's a baby one.
Brett's holding up a tea. Oh, I forgot about this block. Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Jeez, sorry, John.
Okay, let's jump into this. No, we got to do it. Okay. Former doctor. Wait.
Trans panic is the thing. It'd be funny if it was, hi, I'm Minnie now.
What's going on with Mickey, guys? There we go.
Worse. I get it. More Mickey Mouse looking.
That is.
Anyways,
yeah, it's a very serious story. Let's be clear as we transition to this. TDs are playing pranks on me now. Anyway, former doctor and alleged pill pusher Ronnie Jackson is now taking the right-wing trans panic to a new extreme. He was talking to Newsmax about the suspect in the killing of Charlie Kirk, and here is what he had to say.
Reality is that these people have psychiatric illnesses to start with. I mean, when I say these people, I'm talking about the people that are responsible for this, either transgender or associated with the transgender community. These are people that have, gender dysphoria, which is a real psychiatric issue. It's the reason that we don't allow them in the military at this particular point, because they have psychiatric issues and they're not eligible to serve in the military as anyone else who had had any other psychiatric issue would be. We have to do something about this. We have to treat these people. We have to get them off the streets, and we have to get them off the internet. We can't let them communicate with each other. I'm all about free speech, but this is a virus.
Yeah, so describing people in a community that you despise as a virus is pretty grotesque. It calls to mind other dark movements in countries that went through very bad periods because of people like Ronnie Jackson. Here's a pointless little fact check. A majority of US medical health associations and the World Health Organization do not classify gender dysphoria as a mental health illness or whatever. By the way, you see how he tries to do like a shortcut to that? He's like, well, it's a mental health problem. I mean, that's why we don't let them into the military. Oh, I see. Because transphobic right wingers block them from being in the military. That's now its own justification to block them from any participation in free society. That's an interesting way that works. So all we need to do is block violent white supremacists from joining the military, and then bing, bang, boom, we can bar them from Starbucks too. I didn't know that it was that simple. I'll have to remember that when a Democrat takes over. But anyway, he's got a lot of lies about trans people. I mean, he's participating in the right-wing insanity, pretending that trans mass shooters are some sort of massive problem when it's barely even a plural problem at this point. But he continued on demonizing the trans community. Take a look.
You're dealing with a population that's already prone to do some of the stuff that we're seeing here, and they are being facilitated by Democrats in this country, by the far left, and by the progressives. And this is what you get. And so this is not a problem that exists on the right. It's not. This is a group of domestic terrorists that have been bred. They have been bred by the left, by the progressives, by the liberal media, including many that I serve in Congress with.
So just a reminder that as they're doing this trans panic, the shooter's not trans. Let's just be very clear about that. They make all of them. They're not trans, but whatever. We'd prefer to talk about trans people. We definitely don't want to talk about guns. You'll notice they didn't even pause for a second to talk about guns in the wake of all this. They barely even want to talk about mental illness unless they can pretend that it's a trans thing. Apparently, the Democrats are creating trans people. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be. Him and the host there lie about right-wingers not being violent. I'm not gonna recount the long list of violent right-wingers, white nationalists, white supremacists, anti-Semites, militia members, all of that. We could do it, sovereign citizens. We could do an hour-long just recounting of all of their crimes. We're not gonna do it. But this is the insanity that we face right now, is that we're told we're violent and we dehumanize people as they do these Orwellian 2-minute hates on Newsmax and Fox News and OAN day after day, trying to wipe communities off the face of the earth. Brett, what do you think?
I used to play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, and they had this mode called graffiti mode, where like the point was you do a trick to kind of claim as many ramps as possible, and whoever at the end has the most ramps in their name wins. There's red ramps if you're on the red guy, and blue ramps if you're
like
the blue
Splatoon.
guy. I don't know what that is. This is already a bad enough metaphor to begin with. Let's not ruin it even more. But essentially, what I like to do, and you look at the map at the end to see how much is red and how much is blue. The right wing controls so much of the media map now, and they're still pretending they're the victim. Yeah. They control the entirety of the federal government, and they're still pretending they're a victim. What's happening? Like, what channel is that? Where did it come from? They just are saying, listen, the media is overrun with fake news leftists. Bro, I can't tell the difference between Newsmax, OAN, all the ones you listed, RSBN. They just like, I can make all that stuff happen on my OBS, and now I have a right-wing network that will get funding from some giant person who dumps hundreds of millions of dollars on it.
Yeah.
They're better funded, they have more media outlets, they own Twitter. And then they paint like these owners of these giant internet companies as these ideologues. The only ideology they have is profit and coolness. That's all they're searching for. Like all this is happening right now. The media is under attack. The free speech is by everyone's account under siege. And Zuckerberg's like, did you see my new glasses? I got new glasses.
Speaking of Mickey Mouse.
Do these work? They don't work. They'll work because your grandparents posted photos here more than anywhere else. Now I have infinite runway because we also just colonized Brazil. And they have 300 million people on Facebook too. Like it's a giant. And who's Ronnie Jackson? Was it he was the doctor at the White House. He had name recognition. He went from literally treating everyone equally, regardless of what party they were in. By treating, I mean medically. To this guy, sounds pretty gay, is like, the trans people are evil. Have you met one? If you're talking about breeding a whole brain-rotted group of mentally unstable people, that is the point of RSBN and Newsmax and all those companies.
Yeah. You want to know the
news? Yeah, go ahead.
You want to know the mental illness? Here's the mental illness. When you poll the American people and you ask them what percentage of the American public is trans, a recent poll showed they said 21%. That is mental. What the hell are you talking about? 21%.
Here's the decoder ring. You're not that upset. I just want to tell everyone, you're not that upset. You feel that upset. If you're that upset, you're blowing it out of proportion. For most things, you're not that upset. The case in point, like Jimmy Kimmel, he didn't say anything about Charlie Kirk that was bad. He didn't say anything about the shooter being a MAGA guy. He didn't say he was a MAGA guy. You're not that upset. You just want to be pissed off all the time.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, within any group are psychopaths. I will grant you, there are totally unhinged trans people, but there are also totally unhinged straight people, totally unhinged gay people, and they're within every group is an unhinged person who can do the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And what happens is when many people are trying to have a decent, normal conversation about this stuff, somebody picks out the psychopath and is like, that psychopath is all you guys. And it's not healthy. And it's like an addiction when people are like, all right, I'm not gonna do that this time. In this conversation, I'm not gonna fly off the handle. I'm not gonna get pissed. I'm gonna take out my phone this time and I'm just gonna look at cool new songs and I'm not gonna look at political stuff. I'm not gonna get pissed off.
Yeah.
And then like an addict, you find yourself being like, I'm in the same goddamn unhealthy spiral again.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I just tweeted a couple times and again, who knows if these are real people, if it's all bots. I'm like, man, people just do this. Like you just all day. You're just on this. This is hell. Why would you do this to yourself? And finally, I will end as we go to break just by reminding everyone that not only are trans people not disproportionately represented among mass shooters, because far less than 1 in 1,000 are trans, and trans people are about 1 in 100 people. They are actually far disproportionately underrepresented among mass shooters, and it's weird that the media never acknowledges that. Anyway, with that said, we're gonna take our second break. We'll be back with more after this.
Rawr.
I think after this break, we move on to D block and we try to fit in.
Oh, shut up, John. I don't know.
We have to try. Okay, let's open some comments. Deb Wicks, member for 57 months, says, our country is a dumpster fire. Our 80-year-old dad asked me today if we were living in 1939 Berlin. Really sad and extremely infuriating. Yeah, this is an absolute mess beyond anything else that I've
My mom keeps saying like, I was here for Nixon and this is worse.
Well, oh my God. So Robert Redford died and my wife put on All the King's Men. And I was watching, I was like, this wouldn't even be a day's news if this happened today. The break-in, you what, that would be a scandal? Come on.
For all this stuff.
This is so much worse.
I'll make this quick. Yeah, but like for all this stuff, it's like there was political correctness in the 90s, and then there was a knee-jerk reaction against it. We had Politically Incorrect and The Man Show, and nobody died. Like they were like, but it played out and it was a thing. Like it was over. Now it's like what we should do is now bring the government in on this.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're all demanding. Because again, it's like I've been saying for a long time. These are people who do not like to live in a chaotic, unpredictable world. They just want dear leader or daddy, as they were saying in the closing days of the last election, to come in, shut down everyone they disagree with, make all the decisions for them, prop them up artificially for their birth characteristics above every other group. They just want to automatically win and never face any opposition,
right?
While telling themselves the whole time that they're victims.
The opposite of what my savior and Lord Ayn Rand said. And also that desperate seeking of order and freedom from chaos is the central theme of all the like Chinese propaganda, you could call it, videos trying to outline, like the cultural attaches on TikTok trying to tell me like the difference between freedom in China and freedom in America is China was like, we didn't have a government for a long time, and now we want certainty instead of chaos, and that gives us freedom to live our lives. That's some Chinese ass crap that the Republicans are looking for right now.
So now there is actually some diversity of thought. They're bringing in other countries' thoughts. Paolo, member for 42 months, says, hello, John. What's that?
While striving for the isolationism that created the 100 years of crap in China. So they're doing the worst of two things, according to themselves.
Paolo says, hello, John and Brett. My favorite part / character of Alien Earth is Josh Duhamel. Also, Ram's House. Is Josh Duhamel in Alien Earth? I don't remember seeing him. I've been liking Alien Earth. I think it's pretty good, but it's not perfect.
Just so you know, Katie Nolan watching the show, about to invite me on. He did play my cousin, who was a Red Sox pitcher, in a movie recently.
Nicholas says, can we do a contest to get the chance to play a round of golf with the TYT crew? It's not a bad idea.
In-person events these days.
Yeah, we're actually in kind of a difficult period right now. Maybe that's not the best idea, but we'll see. Gargoyle Dragon says, the greatest trick CEOs played was convincing conservatives that they were liberals. Welcome back, Brett. Did you get John any more books? No, thank God.
They're all right here.
Evidently.
They're all the literature I bought him that he refuses to read or display on the background of TDR. It's right here in my, all the tentacles. Yeah.
Suspicious Dragon has been with us for 33 months on Twitch. Thank you. Miss Tina for 56 months says, Brett and John keeping everyone sane. Thank you both. No, thank you. And CK Progressive says in a super chat, I'm glad Sinclair has never owned any TV stations in Detroit, but my ABC station is owned by Scripps, and there are rumors they might go bankrupt. Well, then God only knows what would happen after that. Okay, more news coming up as we close out this first hour. Don't go anywhere. Brett and I will be back after this.
Rawr.
Okay, let's jump right into this.
We offered a totally clean short-term CR to get that job done. Chuck Schumer saw that. He returned a counteroffer that is filled with partisan wish list and poison pills and demands. It includes, for example, Brett, what Chuck Schumer is arguing for. He wants to reinstate free health care for illegal aliens. He wants to add $500 million to prop up liberal media outlets. And he wants to add a massive $1.4 trillion spending hike to what should be a simple 7-week stopgap funding measure. We can't do that. We're not going to do it.
Yeah, when he says it like that, it sure sounds like Chuck Schumer is being ridiculous, which is why he said it like that rather than saying it in an honest way. The spending hike is renewing the cuts to Medicaid that they just did a couple months ago. So now, take a look at that. Cutting $1 trillion from Medicaid, throwing millions of people off their health care. Don't even cover that in the news, that's nothing. But if you try to bring back the status quo of this spring, that's an insane hike in spending. That is how it is so much easier to destroy the government than it is to build it. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are saying, we'll do this continuing resolution or whatever to fund the government, but you have to take back the cuts to Medicaid that are throwing not only many Democrats, but millions of Republicans off their health insurance. And he spins that into a hike of spending. That he wants to prop up liberal media outlets. He's talking about PBS and NPR. So again, Sesame Street becomes commie radio or whatever when the most dishonest person in the House right now is in charge of the messaging. And by the way, he got, at least in the House, his clean CR. It was a 217 to 212 vote. Yet another reminder that every vote counts and we need to retake the House right now. That said, they can just pass it with a majority of the vote in the House. They can't do that in the Senate. They need 60 votes, which means at least 7 Democrats need to vote for it. And only 1 or 2 of those are automatic votes for whatever the Republicans want, which means that they are probably going to have to give something. Now, I don't necessarily believe that Chuck Schumer is going to be vigorous or forceful enough to actually fight for like Medicaid funding to be returned or for the tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires to be taken away. I don't know what they're going to end up getting, but he better demand something, particularly as AOC is planning in the background to potentially run against him for his seat. So anyway, Brett, I want to go to you right now. It looks like they're creeping towards passing. Again, in the House, there were Republicans who were like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to vote for it. And as always, they end up voting for it. It's such a ridiculous song and dance. But what do you make of this?
I mean, they cut healthcare to poor people. That's it. They cut healthcare to poor people. The same poor people that have it really hard because Trump is raising prices on everyone. And they're cutting. And then if prices go up, things are a lot more expensive, life gets a lot harder, then what? Then everybody's going to need Medicaid because their job's going to disappear. And then in the wake of that, no one's going to have Medicaid. And what's left is the propaganda. They're hoping that their propaganda is strong enough when they blame stuff on culture war crap, that people will keep the Republicans in power, even though they said, listen, sorry. Essentially, this is where they show their hand. They show that everything about trans people, about immigrants, about everything they scare you about that has nothing to do with the economy, all of that is just to convince you to join their party so they can cut taxes for themselves and leave you literally on the street to die.
Yeah. And they're hoping that you will accept that. You'll accept an inability to pay for electricity because it's so expensive. You'll never own a home. Your groceries are increasingly unaffordable. But on the other hand, they sided with you on Sydney Sweeney's jeans ad. So yeah, you're on the street, but look what you got. I mean, some trans
crazy that
person you'll
people got
never
mad
meet.
at Sydney Sweeney. Crazy that people got mad at Sydney Sweeney.
I don't think people got mad at Sydney Sweeney.
Or at the Sydney Sweeney thing at all. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy.
Brett just turned into a Republican.
But like, I can say that and still be like, all right, that's what makes me so mad. Is like all these people were
don't
like,
give me your nuance. What is this, communist
in the lead
China?
up to Trump? It's like, I know what your argument is, but he's worse.
Yes, I understand that.
And now he's proven to be worse. Like Akash on Flagrant was like, the people on the right doing this cancel culture stuff are worse now or as bad and the same as the people on the left doing it before this. It's like, yes, that was our whole
thing,
I
agree,
dude.
Yeah.
Like, can you at least believe me now? And instead of literally, they ask us to be nicer to them after they are the reason women don't have the right to choose anymore.
Yeah. Is that nice?
Like,
is that
I'm sorry,
unifying?
I'm
Is that
mad,
respectful?
but also all you wanted to do was say retarded.
Yeah. And that's very, according to my dabbling in Twitter once again, that is a very important part of communication to them. But anyway, yeah, I feel like every time we talk, you mention another podcast. I don't know how you can listen to all of these podcasts. There's not enough time in the day.
It's like my beat on
anyway.
RHQ these days. So
okay. Oh well. Okay. It works into the work. Then that makes sense. Okay, we need to move on to one more topic. As much as I would love to talk about Mike Johnson and how he sucks, let's move on to this.
Suck Mike Johnson.
Oh, I don't want that to be in the clip. Author Cliff Kincaid, real name, became just the latest right-wing bigot to try to blame homosexuality for some reason on the murder of Charlie Kirk. It makes no sense, but to them, it has to be a part of the conversation. And so he went on his website, News with Views, and he published Why Potheads and Gays Hated Charlie Kirk. Can you just focus on one? I feel like those are disconnected things. But anyway, here's what he had to say. Kincaid wrote that Kirk's suspected killer, Tyler Robinson, supported LGBTQ plus rights and was dating a transgender woman, which is not established, but roommate, that's what's established. And added, it appears that the parents did nothing about this terrible trend. Now Charlie Kirk is dead and Robinson faces the death penalty. He doesn't fill in exactly what the parents should have done as their son became more supportive of gay rights. I suppose you're supposed to fill in the blanks of what they were supposed to do to stop someone caring about gay people, but he just assumes his viewers will know what the answer to that is. He then notes that then former President Donald Trump hosted an event for the Log Cabin Republicans in December 2022, in which he said, "We are fighting for the gay community and we are fighting and fighting hard," which is ridiculous, and says hopefully Trump will act to purge the perverts from the Republican Party and his administration. These perverts are behind the Charlie Kirk assassination, and FBI Director Kash Patel says he is investigating the network behind the murder, which might well be true. Certainly Kash Patel has time on his hands since he's refusing refusing to look into Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. But I love the idea that he's like, well, I don't know about this Trump guy. He said he'd defend gay people's rights, but I think he'll turn against them now because they're perverts, as Trump transparently covers up a sex predator's crimes. This guy, Cliff Kincaid, hates gay people so much, he apparently is fine if Ghislaine Maxwell just goes free. Because I guess most of their sex crimes were of the straight variety. That is how twisted and grotesque their moral system is. And by the way, just a reminder to the many, many gay conservatives, gay Republicans, these people are still out there and they still think that you are, just purely because of your identity, you are a non-starter. You do not get to be a part of this movement and you need to be weeded out like some sort of virus. What do you think, Brett?
Imagine being this mad at gay people. Like imagine, just take a second to imagine taking a second to be mad at gay and transgender people. Like in every time that it presents itself as an issue, it's like you seem upset. You seem very upset. To quote Jerry Seinfeld handling hecklers, he's like, you know what? You seem upset. Like what? So basically, what you're saying is a lot of this can boil down to like, oh, I'm sorry that trans people have had it so great lately. You're right. We've made it so great to be trans. It's so easy and great, and you get medals and trophies, and your life is better than a white cis, or whatever I'm allowed to say in your lexicon that doesn't offend you.
Yeah, because you're very mad.
It's just so stupid. Like, this guy has no ideas. This guy has nothing to stand for. Nothing that even makes, a dram of a scruple of sense.
Yeah.
None of it.
No.
Nothing that comes out of his mouth makes any sense. And they're blaming trans people. Like, let's go down. Like, the answer to this is like the guy that shot Charlie Kirk is bad. That is a bad person who did a bad thing. A horrible, evil, terrible, unacceptable thing. That's the end of my conversation.
Yeah.
For you then to just not everything else is you making stuff up about his relationship and the person he's with. We don't know if they're trans or gay or not, or just and it's okay to live in that moment. The problem is like if people can I hold this guy accountable for it later? No, he's just gonna be like his daddy Trump and pretend that he was always right the whole time. Like,
yeah, no, 100%. He ends his column by saying that President Barack Obama was once a drug-addled gay prostitute being abused by his communist mentor. This guy desperately needs help.
Like, you know who talks that much about gay stuff? He's probably a little gay.
We don't know for sure. There are people online speculating right now.
His little pee-pee gets so hard for the gay porn he looks at.
It is very strange when you'll post something on Twitter and there will be the right-wing men that have to make it weirdly sexual. Like they'll be like, yeah, I bet you love to suck a dick or something. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, why are you gooning right now? When you respond, you don't actually, you could separate those two activities. You could just respond to me about the politics and then go to Pornhub or something. You don't have to do both things.
So weird.
Multitasking, I think it's ruined people's brains actually right now. Don't be thinking about me and your sexual hangups at the same time, please, okay? Eyes up here.
And they'll be happier when they accept themselves. And that's all anyone like me is saying. You'll be happier when you accept your instincts to just, I'm gonna stop. I had a really good joke. I'm not gonna say.
The weird thing is, I'm of the variety who will be inviting and welcoming to you. But for some reason, you're more mad at me than the ones who would ostracize you. Isn't that ironic? Anyway, we're gonna end before we get fired. So that's the end for this hour. We have more to come in the aftermath, including our garbage people of the week. So don't go anywhere. Brett and I will be back after this. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Aftermath. I'm here, Brett's here for better or worse. He's back from Japan. Glad to have you here. Brett, what was the best thing you ate in Japan?
Oh wow, we had this Michelin Bib Gourmand ramen for like $16. It was really, really good. But like, I just like the cheese plate at our favorite bar. It's like literally they just
cheese.
Like an old woman goes and buys a plate of like 3 different cheeses, and we eat them with saltine crackers. But just that and a martini and all the smoke in the bar at a booth because they know us and welcome us back every time. Oh my god, it's the best. It's the best.
Okay, interesting. Okay, I like cheese in certain contexts, but maybe the environment matters.
We went to a Chinese restaurant in Tokyo, in Ueno, that was a lamb restaurant, a Chinese lamb restaurant. And like a bunch of Japanese businessmen were on lunch and women were on lunch, and we were eating, and next to us, they were getting drunk and having an amazing time. And they offered us what is essentially a Chinese arepa. Like it's a dough covered pocket of like minced lamb and other stuff. Oh my God, it melted my mind. It was so good.
Okay, that sounds more. I've never had anything like that. So
and then we went to this stand-up bar, and there was like a pot of broth with
no, stop. That's too much food.
Oysters.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So it's the end of the week, so it's time to take out the trash. Brett, who is your garbage person of the week?
My garbage person of the week is Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who is 28 years old. Don't believe your eyes. Believe her birth certificate. She's 28, but she uses Instagram like everybody's aunt, posting conspiracy theory numerology from the Bible and just the word wow. The spokesperson, the lead liar for the Trump administration outside Donald Trump, posted this on Instagram in the wake of the Charlie Kirk tragic murder, the bad murder no one sane supports. This is what she did from Auntie Kitty. She uses this like a 58-year-old aunt, saying, on the night Charlie Kirk was shot, a 4.1 earthquake struck Utah. In scripture, 40 represents trials, 41 signifies a shift. It hit at 5:57 local time, 7:57 Eastern. Acts 7:57 describes Stephen, the first martyr, stoned as the crowd silenced his truth. The Bible says the earth trembles when God is angry. That night, as a voice was silenced, the ground groaned. All right, dudes, that is like come on. Yes, a 4.1 magnitude quake hit Utah 150 miles away from when this happened. I lost my microphone. Is it back? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna switch it to something else really quick that's more, no, it's better now.
It sounds perfectly fine. You can continue.
So yes, a earthquake rocked Utah. That was a bad thing. But to connect it using numerology is the craziest thing you can do. And it just shows that this woman either believes this insanity or is dog whistling to people who do. Mm-hmm. And they're telling me that my ideology is warped, crazy, and insane, yet they are picking numbers out of the ether, changing them to Eastern Standard Time, referencing some like Jews do numerology. We'll tell you it's crazy. Like most of us will tell you it's insane, and it is what is the word? Mystic. It's like a mystic thing to do. You are acting as a pagan whom you would profess to hate. And then you're connecting it, but like this is not the first time that she shared religious takes on tragedy. She reposted a Christian lifestyle magazine after the shooting at the Minneapolis church, saying prayer for Annunciation Catholic school. That's nice. Seems innocent until you scroll down one. It says there's a demonic force moving when a transgender maniac sprays bullets at pews in Catholic school children. Shame on the progressive leaders and lawmakers who make this about the man in the White House. Like Second Amendment or so-called trans bigotry. Like, I can't handle these people sometimes because they tell me that I'm unhinged. And then they'll be like I went to Catholic school and we'd have like science. That was the first period. Then we have math. That was the second period. Then we have a history, fourth. Fifth period was religion, where they'll be like, a man turned to salt. This person's wife is salt now. You need to memorize that for the test. What are you talking? Oh, there was a big sea and it opened so people could walk through. A ghost killed a bunch of babies. Isn't that great? Memorize that for the test where we ask you what literally happened. Like, guys, just chill out on it.
Yeah.
It's so garbage. I can't believe. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, bearing in mind that we do not live in a free society, I like the idea of us living in a free society where you are free to believe whatever religious stuff you want.
Yeah.
And by the way, if it offends Carolyn Leavitt that Brett or I might say that thinking that the almighty creator of the universe is a big fan of the Richter scale or whatever. If you think that's offensive, just bear in mind, you think everything Muslims believe is ridiculous. You think everything that Jains believe and Buddhists believe is ridiculous. And I understand that you believe that you are up here and they are down here, but to an atheist, it's all right here. It's all the same. And no, yeah, you can change it to Eastern Standard Time and you can say that that's when it hit, when an earthquake is a thing that happens over the course of like a very long period. But sure, like, if that makes you feel better, I guess.
But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, saying like you put transgender maniac sprays bullets, and it is so much more clear that you care more about the trans part than the bullets part. And then to go on and then say so-called trans bigotry, you just did it that paragraph. Like you're doing it in this tweet. But whatever. These are people that believe what they believe, and they also very much believe that we should never do anything about guns. It doesn't matter if that would actually stop the shootings from happening. Stopping the shootings is not the point of all of this. It's getting something out of it. And lately, there is nothing they want more than to get the trans community. And so they're always gonna bring it to that.
Great garbage person, Brett. How about John?
It was a great garbage person, it was. My garbage people of the week is, I guess it's these neo-fascist fight clubs, not just for existing, although that's garbage enough. No, it's that they are using the tragic killing of Charlie Kirk to try to get more people to sign up and become fight clubbers or potential future white supremacist terrorists or whatever. They're trying to get something out of it and get people to join. They call themselves active clubs. I guess that is better on a poster than Nazi club or whatever. But anyway, it's a loose collective of neo-Nazi mixed martial arts groups that gather at local gyms and parks to train, tapping into existing gangs of white nationalists or adjacent organizations. They're widely viewed as one of the most organized and pernicious domestic terrorism threats in America because they actually do regularly commit acts of violence. That's just a fact. The DOJ can take down as many studies as they want demonstrating that, but it remains the truth. And so now they're organizing on Telegram and in person to try to use the tragic killing of Charlie Kirk to get people to sign up, posting things like this. You should watch the video of the blood gushing from his lifeless corpse when you make excuses not to join a nationalist org or when you skip the gym.
Oh my God, dude.
A meme spread by the same account shows a photo of Kirk holding a child with blood splatters in the background and the slogan, "The time for debating liberals is over," because they not only want people to join, they also want violence against liberals. But again, tell me about how leftists are the ones who are violent or whatever. Several active clubs and far-right figures acknowledged in social media posts that though Kirk was no true friend to the neo-Nazi and an accused agent of the Israeli government, his work helped spread far-right ideas to the general public, and his promotion of white supremacy should not go unappreciated. And I like that at least they acknowledge that Kirk was not an out-and-out neo-fascist or whatever. At least he didn't identify that way. And yet they weirdly do think that appealing to Kirk fans along explicitly racist grounds, like literally saying, white man rise up, they're coming for the white man, even though, and I will never stop reminding them this, the shooter's white. It's white on white violence. Like I don't get how that's a racial thing for you, but they believe that Kirk fans will be triggered by this racist rhetoric to join their group. I'm not saying that they will be. The Nazis are saying that they will be, which is very strange and definitely garbage. And by the way, Brett, while you were gone, I don't know if you know this, but not, I guess, too far from where you used to live, Huntington Beach. Some of these active groups marched with Patriot Front, another neo-fascist group. That was that was one found in the aftermath of the Unite the Right rally, and they were doing these white supremacist slogans and calling for the white man to fight and all of that. And so they're very much seizing this moment. What do you think?
Huntington Beach is sounds like it's part of California, and it is technically, but it is like where you'll find the Klan.
Yeah.
is really bad. That's where like I think Ben Glebe went down there to go to the restaurant that was like against masks and stuff, and like that's always where you'll find like a Trump rally in California, and all the Californians will be like, yeah, but it was Huntington Beach. Like, yeah, it would be there. It's just like find some other way to feel like you have community. That's it. I just want to tell these guys, like, you seem very upset. You gotta understand that there's gotta be some other way to motivate people to go to the gym. Like, come on.
Their end goal is
and
not
the idea,
gym
like,
part.
This is me being crappy, but like the time for debating liberals is over. Well, if that guy was a liberal, and he totally probably was, like whatever. I don't know if he was liberal, but whatever the shooter was, the time to debate that guy is over. But also, isn't the whole thing people say about Charlie Kirk is that he was for debate and like a free exchange of ideas? Now, I know what he was doing. I know exactly what the playbook was for him, but it wasn't violence.
Yeah.
It was way more cynical than anybody really is talking about. Like, I saw him change. I've watched what he does when he was doing a show by himself with his boys, and then when he comes to us and tries to be on our show, like I saw it. But that's the game, and that game is a non-violent game, and that game is just rhetoric. That is politics. That's discourse in the service of whatever, right? But like to say that the time for debating liberals is over, like that, I just think you're misinterpreting his message as you're presenting it.
Yeah.
Right. But like, yeah, it's so strange. But I guess I understand how that happens. These guys also think that Jesus was some violent guy.
It's very strange.
That he would support any of this stuff, which if you read the text, which I had to in Catholic school, he seemed like he was for like, just go out and love each other and be nice. And like take care of the poor. It's, that was the stuff he said. Everything else is somebody else saying what he said, I just don't. Not a lot of direct quotes in that thing, but they all seem to support like being kind of chill to each other and nice and meek and friendly.
Yeah. Yeah, they should really read that book that they supposedly believe is an infallible guide to the universe and morality. But anyway, those are our garbage people. Let's turn now to the community garbage person of the week. 60,000 of you voted, 2% going to the DHS for wasting $1 million to pimp their ICE rides. Another 2% to Nancy Mace for wanting Ilhan Omar punished over Kirk comments. 35% to Brian Kilmeade for calling to kill the unhoused. Wow, that is not the number one. 61% though went to the GOP for using Charlie Kirk's death to declare war on the left. Yes, I guess that is a pretty broad-based threat, so I understand that. But let's turn now to more positive. Oh, by the way, anything involving Kimmel could not have been on there. The poll was made before that, so that's why like Disney's not on there or something like that. But here is your hero of the week. Thank you to the 58,000 of you who voted. 5% going to AOC for calling out job losses over clean energy cuts. 9% to Bernie and Rashida Tlaib for their tax excessive CEO pay act. 20% to Stephen Colbert for using his Emmy win to troll Trump. But 66% of you went to the UK citizens for putting up a giant picture of Trump and Epstein to remind everyone of the ongoing cover-up of that scandal. But with that said, we have very little time left and we want to talk about one more topic. So whenever we're ready, why don't we jump into this?
Opened up coal. We were closing all our coal mines all over the country, and yet we still have a lot of coal. We use the generating plants of coal because it's the strongest, and we're doing coal.
Coal miners, coal is back. Beautiful. I said you can't use the word coal unless you precede it by saying clean, beautiful coal.
Coal is the single most reliable, durable, secure, and powerful form of energy. It's cheap, incredibly efficient, high density, and it's almost indestructible. You could drop a bomb on it and it's going to be there for you to use the next day. We're ending Joe Biden's war on beautiful, clean coal once and for all, and it wasn't just Biden, it was Obama.
What's with the dropping the bomb on coal? How is that a part of this conversation? I mean, I guess a solar panel would break if you dropped a bomb on it, but I don't think that should really drive our energy policy. But anyway, it is no secret that Donald Trump loves to performatively talk about coal. This guy, of course, would never spend 1 minute off the cameras with an actual coal miner. He would never, ever go into an actual coal mine, which at least in this one case, I can say I've at least done that. But this dude loves to talk about coal and coal miners. But it turns out that when you actually go into coal country and you talk to them, they're kind of getting a little bit tired of Donald Trump and his broken promises. And recently, Bernie Sanders went to talk to people in coal country, and it seemed like they were actually kind of interested in his message. Take a look.
If I say that I think the United States should do what every other major country on earth does, guarantee health care to all people as a human right, are you going to think I'm a communist and a terrible person?
I think if people listen, if you talk the way that you did, and you're so reasonable, like they've painted you in a bad light, and it actually makes me very angry.
You have been to how many Bernie rallies now?
3.
And over what period of time did that take place?
2 days. The first night was just like real eye-opening for me. It was like a whole mind shift of my whole belief system of like how we could come together as a people.
Yeah.
We all want our kids to have a safe place to live. We all want our kids to have food. We all want our kids to have health care. Like there's no difference. We all need to fight together.
Yeah.
Because if we're fighting each other, we're not going to ever get anywhere.
Yeah.
So.
Did you expect to walk out of here with a shirt?
I did not expect to walk out of here with a shirt.
That video was put together by More Perfect Union. You saw the label right there. And they talked to a bunch of these people that had communicated with Bernie Sanders and found that he was not the caricature that maybe they had heard he would be on Fox News. And you saw that one woman who now she's got the merch. She wants Bernie on her shirt. And that's awesome. Now, she actually dined with Bernie Sanders. They had a chance to actually hear his message, hear his policies, and it turned out to be quite persuasive. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about what Bernie spoke about in his rallies. He did do several rallies in Mingo County right there. They talked about healthcare. They talked about the actual struggles that people there in West Virginia were experiencing. And let's go now to that.
Talk about healthcare here in Mingo County. What's the story? I see a hand right, woman right here. Please stand up.
Hi, my name is Sheila Rose, and I ended up back in Mingo County where I grew up after a chronic illness paralyzed me about 4 years ago. I've come a long way since then, but anytime I need to see a specialist, it's a 2-hour trip. Anytime I need a referral to a new specialist, it's a 6-month wait. There is no way to stay healthy in Mingo County.
It's crying at the grocery store, choosing between paying a bill or having food in the cabinet or the refrigerator. It affects your health, and then you don't have health care. Child care is ridiculously expensive, so it's very stressful.
As they're talking about sort of core issues about healthcare, about the economy, and Bernie's listening, and he actually has policies that are intended to benefit these people. A lot of these people, by the way, are turning away from Donald Trump. Just earlier today, poll came out. Now, less than 50% of Republicans believe that America is going in the right direction. That just happened. Trump has dropped something like 20 points just so far in his administration. They see that on the economy, on all these topics, it's not shaping up the way they were told it would on the campaign trail, and even specifically on the coal stuff. And we'll end with this. Coal mining jobs decreased by over 13,000 during Trump's first term, because he can say it's the best ever and we got to save it or whatever, but the market dictates that. It turns out it's just not true. Now that means that some people are going to be left behind, and they're not going to be saved by you just saying coal's the best and you can drop a bomb on it. You need actual government plans and policies to help these people. So anyway, we've thrown a lot out there. Brett, what do you make of Bernie's trip down there?
Americans are so starved for someone who listens to you and gives the response they have based on what they believe, period. And that's Bernie Sanders. Like, you don't have to like the guy and his policies or any of that, but a lot of folks just are like, please, someone stop lying to me. Someone stop acting. Someone stop giving me the canned answer that you memorized before you got here.
Yeah.
And that's what Bernie is, the person. Half the reason that a lot of people in like comedy hate each other is that they're jealous of how good the other one is. And they wish they were that good. Same goes for politics. So many people who just don't got it hate Bernie Sanders because he's got it. And what does he do? And you hear people like Theo Vaughn be like, I was hoping that maybe you and Trump would be on the same ticket. Because Trump is he's pathological, so he can very easily synthetically create the same thing that Bernie does. But Trump is just lying to you because that's like breathing to him. Bernie is like, at least the left has one or two people who can just be like, here's what we believe, and here's how your life will be better if we put it into action.
Yeah.
And that's what people respond to. And that's just step one. But for reasons that are very easy to identify if you spend 5 minutes in politics, it's a step that like all the establishment politicians just can't take.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of messages. I apologize that I can't read them live. I really do appreciate the support. I will read every one of them, but we are unfortunately over. We got to go record our members' content. We're going to be talking about AOC and the word from her campaign starting to rumble up about where she might go after the House. So we'll talk about that. I'm going to be leading the first hour of the Young Turks later on today. I believe Elliot Morgan is going to be in studio, and Trey will be joining us remotely. So that should be a lot of
power
fun.
battle.
Get two comedians on to talk about what's happening with comedy. So we'll have that and more. For now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.